and you will continue to explore it with the same soft curiosity you feel tonight. The story is long. We are only halfway through the journey. See you in part 5. Free will. Are you choosing or only your brain? If your brain has already decided, before you even notice the intention, is freedom only a comforting story to keep us from being afraid? You believe you are choosing to stay or to leave, choosing to forgive or to remain angry, choosing to love or to stop. You believe your thoughts come from you, that your life turns where you steer. But neuroscience opens a truth that startles many. The brain makes decisions a few hundred milliseconds before awareness does. Mini hook. If the brain has chosen first, does consciousness still matter? In 1983, scientist Benjamin Libet ran a famous experiment. Participants simply twitched a finger whenever they wished, then reported the moment they decided to do it. The results showed the brain began the action before awareness said, "I want to." Awareness seems to arrive after, like a narrator who shows up late to explain what has already been decided. What does that mean? Are all the choices in our lives prearranged by the unconscious? Some extreme scientists conclude free will is an illusion. The brain runs the game, and awareness stands at the sidelines and watches. It is like when you flinch at a sudden loud sound. You did not choose that reaction. It happened on its own. You arrived later to explain it. Mini hook. If you cannot control yourself in the smallest instant, what can you control across an entire life? Classical philosophy wrestled with this for a long time. Spinoza believed the universe is a chain of linked causes. You think you decide, but you are really the result of countless forces before you. Genes, environment, upbringing, memories. He said, people believe themselves to be free simply because they are conscious of their actions and ignorant of the causes by which they are determined. Bitter, is it not? Nietzsche was more complicated. He did not deny that instincts and the unconscious guide us, but he urged, if you are shaped, then be the one who reshapes yourself. You may not choose the starting point, but you can choose a direction, even if the road is rough. That is freedom in Nietzsche's sense. Freedom in creation, freedom in the rebirth of the self, even when the world tried to fix you in place. Mini hook. If fate brought you here, where do you have the right to lead yourself next? Sartre's existentialism went further. He said, human beings are condemned to be free. It sounds like a tragedy, because when you are free, you must take responsibility for every choice. No blaming fate, no blaming anyone else. Freedom becomes a burden for a mind or a heart that thinks too much. Have you ever wished someone would decide for you, just to spare you the pain? Meanwhile, the Stoics placed freedom inside. Marcus Aurelius said, the world can take everything away, but it cannot touch the way you respond. You cannot always control circumstances, but you can control the meaning you give to them. Some people break from loss. Some people grow from loss. The same event, two completely different ways of living. Mini hook. Are you defined by what happens to you, or by how you choose to see it? Now, back to science. Recent studies reveal something fascinating. Your consciousness is not entirely passive. Yes, the brain predicts first, but consciousness can intervene. It can adjust the course, like a sailor turning the rudder against the wind. Freedom may not exist in the moment you first make a choice. Freedom exists in the ability to change that choice once you are aware of where you are heading. That is called secondary freedom, a more mature kind of freedom. So in the end, are you free or not? Completely free? Probably not. Completely determined? Also not. You are like a person rowing a boat on the ocean. You do not create the waves. You do not command the wind, but you can adjust the sail. That is just enough freedom to live meaningfully. Mini hook. If you cannot control everything, what is the first thing you can learn to control? Look back on your life. How many things once felt impossible to change until one day you dared to, and life turned a brand new page? You are not perfect. You are not all-powerful, but you can steer your steps, little by little, bit by bit, until you realize you have gone much farther than you ever imagined. Tonight, before you fall asleep, try changing just one thought, from "I must be this way" to "I can be this way," or another way. Freedom does not come from changing the world. Freedom comes from a gentle realization. I have the right to try living differently. You do not have to do it right now. Sleep is still waiting for you. Tomorrow will come, and with it, another choice. Just remember this. You are not merely the result of fate. You are also the one who continues to write it. See you in part 6, the final part. Why do you exist? Meaning, or simply presence? Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Freedom is quietly pulsing there. If the universe is vast enough that your existence changes nothing, then why do you still feel so important? You lie down, close your eyes, and the world keeps turning. The sun does not stop. Tomorrow will come whether you wish it or not. In this infinite expanse, your presence is as small as a speck of dust. And yet, you feel, you love, you hurt, you hope. Mini-hook. Could your smallness itself be proof that you are not small at all? Philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said we are born between two abysses, one of infinite freedom and one of human limitation. Between them lies the quiet anxiety that every soul carries. You do not fear that life is meaningless. You fear that you may never find its meaning. Science tells another story. The carbon in your body was once part of the stars. You are stardust that learned to think. You are the universe looking back at itself through human eyes. Carl Sagan once said, "We are made of star stuff, and to the stars we shall return." It is hard to call that meaningless. Mini-hook. If the universe spent billions of years creating you, is the fact that you are breathing not a cosmic event in itself? Albert Camus faced the absurdity of life. No manual for existence, no map, no guaranteed destination. And yet he chose to rebel by living fully. We do not need the universe to hand us meaning. We can weave it into each passing minute. Meaning is not something to be found. It is something to be given. What can you give? A small smile to someone tired, an apology at the right time, a kindness that expects nothing in return. The light of a star does not need to know who it shines upon. Many spiritual paths agree on this. You are here to learn to love. Buddhism speaks of awakening and release. Zen emphasizes the power of each moment. Christianity speaks of unconditional love. There is no single answer. But they meet at one point. Meaning arises from truly living. Mini-hook. If meaning is not in the outcome, is it in how you walk the path? Think of the people you have met. Those who made you laugh. Those who made you cry. Those who made you grow. Not all of them stayed, but each left a seed within you. Because of them, you are no longer who you once were, and because of you, someone out there has also changed. That is meaning the soft collision between souls. Sartre said, "Life has no pre-given meaning. We must create it." And Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the concentration camp, said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Haven't you ever had such a why? Even a small one? Like someone waiting for you? Or a fragile dream you have never dared to tell anyone? Mini-hook. If everyone has a reason to live, could you be someone's reason without even knowing it? Now, let us slow down a bit. Place your hand over your chest. Feel that heartbeat. You are not controlling it. You are not commanding it. It works on its own to keep you here. Perhaps your heart understands meaning better than your mind does. It does not ask why. It simply continues. Meaning does not always need words. Sometimes it is just that continuation, the quiet will to take one more step. So why do you exist? Not to become someone great, not to avoid mistakes, not to prove anything to the world. You exist to love when your heart trembles, cry when tears need to fall, dream when the night is long, and be amazed when dawn returns. You exist to live. Simple and complete. Mini-hook. If being alive is enough, then everything else is a bonus. Before you drift deeper into sleep, let us breathe slowly together. Breathe in. You are part of the universe. Breathe out. The universe is living through you. Do not worry about tomorrow. Just know that right now, meaning is blossoming in every heartbeat. You are a necessary chapter in the long story of life. Even if you do not know the ending, your presence makes the story more whole. And now, close your eyes. Let your mind float into gentle dreams. Whether you realize it or not, you have already changed simply because you dared to ask, why do I exist? The answer does not need to come tonight. It will arrive as you live one more day with an open heart. Sleep well. Little yet magnificent friend of the universe. As we grow up, we begin to chase happiness, restlessly, desperately, as if happiness were a rare bird that only the lucky could hold for long. Mini hook. If happiness is so hard to grasp, could it really be the ultimate purpose of life? Aristotle was among the first to try defining happiness. He called it eudaimonia, not a passing joy, not a temporary thrill, but the full flowering of the human spirit, when we live in harmony with the best within us. Happiness, according to Aristotle, does not fall from the sky. It is a habit, something to be practiced every day, like watering the garden of your own soul. You cannot control the weather, but you can learn to plant a garden that survives every season of storm and sun. Meanwhile, Epicurus took another path. Happiness, he said, is the reduction of suffering. He did not chase extreme pleasure. He sought peace in small, lasting things. A simple meal, a friend who understands, a heart free from excess desire. Do not try to have everything, he reminded us. Just have enough to smile. Mini hook. If having less can make us happier, why do we keep wanting more? Then came Stoicism, a teacher both strict and gentle. Seneca said, happiness is when your mind is undisturbed by what lies beyond your control. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote each night before sleep, I can control only my own response. The Stoics did not promise endless joy. They taught steadiness to be like a tree standing firm amid the storm. In a chaotic world, inner peace can be the greatest victory. So if you are tired of having to be strong, remember, calmness is also a form of strength. Mini hook. If happiness lies in how we see things, are we the ones making ourselves suffer with our own thoughts? Kant took another direction, morality first, happiness second. He believed what makes us worthy of respect is not comfort, but the will to live rightly. Act in such a way that the world is better because you exist. That was Kant's guiding light. Happiness without conscience is a beautiful flame that can burn everything down. And then came Nietzsche, the rebel. He mocked those who chased happiness. Like a herd of sheep, he said, create your own meaning, because happiness can make us fall asleep, while pain has the power to wake us up. You have grown through every heartbreak, have you not? Then perhaps pain, too, is a gift. Mini hook. If suffering makes you stronger, would you still try to avoid it at all costs? John Stuart Mill's utilitarianism brought a new puzzle. The right thing is what brings the greatest happiness to the greatest number. It sounds simple, but what if the happiness of the many requires the tears of one innocent person? Philosophy always makes us pause before the things we thought were obvious. Then came existentialism. Sartre looked at life and saw no given meaning. Camus told the story of Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill, only for it to roll back down again. Life, it seems, is absurd. But Camus said, we must imagine Sisyphus happy, because happiness is not on the mountaintop, it lives in the will to keep pushing, even knowing the stone will fall. Mini hook. If life has no built-in meaning, could it be that we are the ones who give it meaning? Religion, too, has its say. In Buddhism, happiness comes from letting go. In Zen, it comes from the present moment. In Christianity, it comes from unconditional love. Perhaps now you begin to see, each philosophy Each belief is a small shard of glass, and happiness is the reflection formed when all those shards come together. If you have ever thought that someone else held the key to your happiness, philosophy whispers softly, no one knows your heart better than you do. No one knows what you truly long for when your head rests on the pillow at night and you listen to the sound of your own sigh. Happiness is a private journey, not to be compared, not to be forced, not to be copied. Mini hook. If no one else is exactly like you, why should your way to happiness look like theirs? Here are 3 small things you can try right now. Find small joys that are real, like warming your hands around a hot cup of tea. Accept what you cannot control, the weather of your life. Live by the values you believe in, even if the world tells you they are not enough. That is all. You do not need to win over anyone. You only need not to abandon yourself. Tonight, before you drift into sleep, ask yourself one gentle question. What small thing can I do tomorrow to make this world a little kinder? Maybe just smile at your reflection in the mirror. Maybe forgive an old mistake. Maybe simply breathe and feel grateful that you are still here. Happiness is the ability to still be moved, and you are still moved. You are still very much alive. Sleep deeply tonight. Tomorrow, your boulder will feel lighter, and you will keep pushing it with a heart both strong and soft. I will see you in part 4. Is this world real, or just a shared dream? If the brain can create an entire vivid world within a dream, what reason do you have to believe you are truly awake? Do you remember your last dream? The one where you flew over cities that do not exist, met someone who has long been gone, laughed and cried as if it were the only reality, and when you woke up, it all vanished as if it had never been. If dreams can fool you completely, what proves that you are not dreaming right now? Mini hook. How can you tell illusion from reality when both are processed by the same brain? Inside the quiet cave of your skull, no light ever enters. No sound ever leaves, only electrical impulses and chemical messengers. You do not see the real world, you see the map, your brain, and paints of it. Your eyes do not actually see everything, they only receive light. The brain is the artist. Your ears do not hear sounds, they only detect vibrations. The brain is the musician. What you call reality is simply the story your brain tells you, moment after moment after moment. There is a phenomenon called the darkness illusion. When you are alone in a place that is too quiet, your brain begins to generate sounds just to fill the emptiness. It hates silence. It is afraid of not knowing what will happen next. So sometimes, what you know for sure is only what your brain invents, so that you will not worry. Mini hook. How many times have you been certain you were right, only to discover that your brain had played a trick on you? The spotlight effect says this. You always think other people are paying more attention to you than they actually are. You think everyone is examining your every step, but in truth, everyone is busy worrying about themselves. Cognitive biases are things we fall into every day. Self-serving bias. Success is because I am talented. Failure is because of circumstances. Confirmation bias. Listening only to what we want to hear. Illusion of control. Believing we control more than we actually do. Negativity bias. The bad always seems heavier than the good. Your brain is not trying to make you suffer. It is trying to protect you in the old, ancestral way. Look at a spoon in a glass of water. It appears broken, but you know it is not actually broken. You have learned not to trust your eyes when light bends objects. Yet you rarely ask, if light can fool me, then what in this life is absolutely real? Mini hook. Are you living in the real world, or in a version optimized for survival? Neuroscientist Anil Seth says, reality is a controlled hallucination, which means only when many people share the same hallucination do we agree to call it the truth. Do you see how thin that border is? In the same situation, a joyful person calls it an opportunity. A sorrowful person calls it fate. The world does not change. The way we look at it does. There is a classic experiment, the rubber hand illusion. A fake hand is placed in front of you. Your real hand is hidden. Both hands are stroked at the same time. After a while, your brain begins to believe the fake hand is part of your body. Conclusion: it is not only the world that is an illusion, even your body can be an illusion. Mini hook: if a hand can be fooled, could your sense of I also be a neural magic trick? Dreams are the clearest proof. In a dream, you do not know you are dreaming. No doubt, no analysis, no judgment. You run away, you fly, you love and are loved. Everything feels real until your brain changes the scene. How is this world any different from a long dream from which you have not yet awakened? Your brain predicts the future every millisecond. It does not wait for information and then interpret it. It predicts first and fills in the gaps. You do not see the world. You see what you think about the world. Sometimes, your fear is only your brain's wrong prediction about what has not happened yet. Mini hook: how often has the thing you feared most actually come true? Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh said, "The present moment is the only place where life is truly available." Neuroscience agrees. When you place attention on your breath, your brain stops over-predicting the future. You return to direct experience, without the filter of anxiety. In that moment, the illusion steps back. You touch reality, even if only for one breath. Just one breath, and the world becomes far more real. So in the end, what can we trust? Not passing thoughts, not fears that have not arrived, not the brain's illusions. The one certain thing is your own experience in the present. This moment, this heartbeat, the warmth spreading across your skin. You are alive, and that alone is enough to call this reality. Mini hook: if you can feel this very moment, perhaps you are more awake than you think. Gently place your hand on your chest. Feel each beat. That is not an illusion. It is a gentle confirmation that you are still here. Your brain can deceive you in countless ways, but your heart is not so skilled at telling lies. So, sleep with just enough faith. Tomorrow, when you wake, the world will be real again, in tomorrow's own way. If one day you woke up and no longer remembered who you were, would you still believe that you exist? Imagine this. You open your eyes into a vast black nothing. No ceiling, no ground, only you and the sound of your own breath. You do not remember your name. You do not remember your age. You do not remember who you loved, who you hated, or what you ever dreamed of becoming. Who are you in that moment? Perhaps you would think, I am still me, because I can still feel this. But is feeling proof of existence? That is how philosophy began. Not from clever answers, but from a deeply human confusion. What am I? What am I living inside of? And does any of this mean anything at all? Thousands of years ago, before electric light tore open the night, human beings sat around fires, the only warmth connecting them to life itself. Beyond the glow was silence, wild beasts, and the howling wind of the unseen. And from that fear, one question arose. What is this world? Thales said, everything begins with water. He watched rain fall, rivers flow, and the endless ocean. He saw that life always depends on water to survive. Water became philosophy's first answer, but Heraclitus disagreed. No one steps into the same river twice, because the river flows and people change. So the essence of the universe is not water, it is change itself. Interesting, isn't it? At its very beginning, philosophy already had two opposite views, just like you. Some days you believe you are strong, and other days you doubt everything. Mini hook. If everything is always changing, is there anything within us that stays the same? Then came Socrates, like a strange wind, through history. He never wrote a single book. He walked through the squares of Athens asking uncomfortable questions. What is it that you think you know? Then he would smile and quietly shatter every belief they thought was certain. He was sentenced to death for that, but he left behind a timeless legacy. The wisest person is the one who knows that he knows nothing. We are often afraid of uncertainty. We want certainty, We want something solid to hold on to. But Socrates said, "Do not cling to what you do not understand. Accept that you do not know, and from that openness, wisdom will enter." Take a deep breath. Have you ever felt the strange comfort of finally saying, "I do not know"? Plato, the student of Socrates, told the story of people chained inside a dark cave. They could only see the shadows of objects dancing on the wall and believed those shadows were the only truth. One man escaped. He stepped into the sunlight. He saw the sun, the trees, real people, and he realized that shadows were not the whole truth. He returned to the cave to tell the others, but they did not believe him. They became angry. They wanted to kill him, to protect the only world they knew. Do you see? Sometimes we too fear the light because the darkness has become our comfort zone. Mini hook. If wisdom is freedom, why do so many people choose to stay in chains? Aristotle, Plato's student, was the first to try mapping the mind of humanity. He wanted to organize everything: logic, ethics, art, politics, the nature of happiness. He said, "Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is how you live each day. You may not have found your life's purpose yet. That is all right. Perhaps you have already been living it, you just have not noticed." The ancient philosophers wrestled with the same uncertainty as you. Who am I? Why am I here? What should I believe in? And they left us one important clue. Philosophy begins with wonder, when we look at life and dare to ask, why is it so? Think back to your childhood. Did you once ask, why is the sky blue? Why is the dark so scary? Why do grown-ups not understand me? But as you grew up, someone said, stop asking, just live the way everyone else does. And so your questions fell asleep, a long, heavy sleep. Tonight, I want to wake that curiosity again, not to make you anxious, but to help you see gently. If you still have no answer, it means you are still truly alive. Mini hook. Maybe the purpose of this journey is not to know everything, but to never stop asking. As night slowly covers your room, you are lying there, drifting among thoughts like waves. If life is a riddle, then each breath is a tiny piece you place down softly, second by second. You do not need to rush. No one is chasing you. Let philosophy be your quiet companion, walking beside you along the long road, never judging, never forcing. You do not need to find the answers tonight. You only need to relax and enjoy this uncertainty, because knowledge is not about lighting up the entire darkness. Knowledge is holding a small candle and daring to take one more step. Before you drift into dreams, I want you to keep one small truth. You are not lost as long as you are still asking questions. You only lose yourself when you stop being curious about your own life. So, stay confused, stay amazed. Let your mind rise like a small light, floating in the endless universe. And remember, even the greatest philosophers once trembled before this simple question. Who am I in the midst of all this? Take a slow breath in and exhale gently. The story is not over. It has only just begun. When you are ready, we will continue into part 2. Who are you when the story about you disappears? If you would like, I can begin it right now. If your memories could be erased in the blink of an eye, then what exactly is the self you keep holding so tightly to? Try closing your eyes for a moment. Think of yourself. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Your name, your job, the things you have done, the fears you carry, the people you have loved or lost? We often confuse who am I with what have I experienced? But philosophy suggests that this is only a thin mask, one that can be removed, one that can change, one that can crumble after a single dream. Mini hook. If tomorrow morning you woke up and forgot every good and bad thing about yourself, would your life truly start again from zero? David Hume once said that when he looked within to find the self, he found only a stream of feelings and thoughts, constantly changing. There was no fixed center, no eternal soul sitting in control of it all. What you call yourself is simply a film projected endlessly by memory and emotion. You are the viewer, but you are also the film itself. A beautiful paradox. Imagine you are holding a cup of hot tea. Steam rises and drifts into the air. What kind of steam is it? Steam of tea, steam of water, steam of heat. But when the steam fades, no one can point to where it once was. The self is the same, something vague, present but impossible to grasp. Mini hook. If you cannot point to yourself within you, then who is the one asking this question? Descartes once declared, "I think, therefore I am." But some philosophers replied, if thoughts can come and go like clouds, then who is the one watching the clouds? We believe we are the thinker. But sometimes, thoughts arrive like strangers appearing uninvited, leaving unnoticed. Have you ever been sitting quietly and suddenly felt sadness for no reason? Then you created a story. I am sad because I am worthless. I am sad because someone left me. But that story is not the truth. It is an interpretation, a label placed upon sadness to make it seem reasonable. But what if you do not label it? Sadness is just sadness. It comes like rain and goes like wind. You are not the rain. You are the window watching it fall. In Buddhism, there is a beautiful word, anatta, non-self. It does not mean you do not exist. It means you are not trapped in any single form. You are what changes with time. You are the water that takes the shape of the cup life pours you into. You are the footprints on the sand that the waves will wash away. You are the melody in which every moment is a new note. Mini hook. If the self is not fixed, then what does freedom truly mean? Look into the mirror each morning. That face, sometimes it feels familiar. Sometimes it feels like a stranger you once met and forgot. You say, "This is me." But it is only today's version of you. Yesterday you were different. Tomorrow you will be too. Does that idea frighten you? Or does it set you free? Because if you are not fixed, you are not bound by your past. You have the right to rewrite your story anytime you wish. There is a deeply human paradox. The more we try to fix ourselves into one shape, the more we lose the life within us. You were born a river, yet you spend your life trying to become a rock, unmoving, unchanging, unshaken. And then you call that stiffness me. But you forget, a rock does not dream. Mini hook. If you are the water, why be afraid of the bends in the river? Many people live their whole lives inside boxes built by others. Be strong. Be successful. Be like everyone else. You have heard it so often that you mistake it for your own inner voice. But it is only the echo of society, of family, of fear, of expectation. You may have never truly asked yourself, who am I when I stop trying to please everyone? At first, you may feel empty, like standing in a large room with no furniture, like looking out at the sea at night, with no lights. But that emptiness is the space where you can finally breathe, the space where you can bloom in your own way. Have you noticed that whenever you stop thinking, a strange peace appears, like when you stare at the moon for a long time, or listen to music without the words, or watch rain tapping against the roof? That is when you touch the deepest part of yourself, the silent observer behind all changing emotions. You are not the role. You are the stage. The roles may change. The stage remains. Mini hook. If every emotion is just a guest, why let them rule the house? Tonight, as you lie down, do not try to find a perfect version of yourself. Do not force yourself to know who you are right now. Let your mind be as light as your breath. Let yourself be surprised by the person you will become tomorrow. Do not fear the uncertainty. From uncertainty, everything is born. You are the storyteller, and also the story itself. And with each passing second, the story writes another line. Before you sink deeper into sleep, keep 3 small truths for yourself. You are not the thoughts in your head. You are not the things that happen to you. You are the one quietly aware of them all. If you ever wish to share, leave your own question. Which self is the one dreaming this dream? I will be here to search with you, or simply to smile with you, when we realize no answer is needed at all. May you sleep deeply tonight. But remember, the story is not over. I will meet you again in part 3. Happiness, skill, or luck. If happiness is simply a skill, then why do intelligent people often suffer more? Think back to the days when you laughed easily, perhaps your childhood, or maybe a golden afternoon you once forgot. Happiness arrived like a breeze, uninvited, unpaid for.